Welcome to Rauta's Indie 5. Once again, 5 different older releases and 5 different styles also. Going through in alphabetical order, let's take a quick look at these albums in question. First we go to United States of America with a band called Bestial Lord and their album called Black Mass Wedding. Now the previous album was somewhat decent, old school, kind of a doom death of sorts. And while it wasn't exactly good in my opinion, it was somewhat promising and there was some kind of old school feeling. Now with this album, I think the band has lost some of its magic. Some people will totally disagree with me and it's fine, but I can't really vouch for this album as much. Now the thing here is, they sound old school as fuck. That is, this could be very much, like even late 70s kind of album, but mostly, I guess, 80s album would be accurate enough. It's kind of a doomy, but mostly operating in the field of death metal. Reminds me of Acheron's working class death metal, but kind of lacking the aspect of, how the songs are structured and power how the, songs are done, and of course, satanic presence. So whereas Acheron is more like working class version of D-side, this is the kind of a doomier version of Acheron. Maybe people who are into more on the death doom side will find this one fascinating, but I must say this is quite challenging an album unless you're really focusing on this kind of a genre. Quite mediocrity all the way. Even the vocals production very mediocre, not powerful enough. So there's that. Then we go to German with this kind of a war metal release. This is Goatblood. And Apparition of Doomsday is the name of the album. Now, this is one of those active names from Germany who seem to be putting out a release every year. One could even make this statement or guess that this is the kind of a band that pretty much wants to release everything. I don't know if that's true, but that is the feeling I'm getting from this kind of band. And the reason is this. They really don't have anything memorable out there, but they do have the kind of a boneheaded approach to war metal. That is the combination of death and black metal in this case, with the focus being more on the death metallic side. Now, where this band is not exactly very good is that they are way too much one-trick pony. I mean, they do sound violent, but compared to pure death metal bands, they almost sound like a slow version of it. Let me put it this way. There are lots of bands which are at the same time very technical, very energetic, and also very brutal. Lots of slam bands, lots of tech death bands and all that stuff. Compared to them, Goatblood sounds like a slowed down version. As if they were like old guys who are not able to play that fast. Okay, then some people say, but what if they don't want to? What if they are just doing the Archcode style? Which is kind of, I guess, an accurate thing to guess with this band. Now the downside is, Archcode is more diverse. It has more angles and also mid-tempo parts and interesting riffs, so sounding heavy and dark at the same time, satanic and powerful, etc. Or Blasphemy, which are just chaotic and violent and heavy as hell. But Goatblood is none of that. It's not really heavy, it's not really interesting, and it's like as if you heard one track, you know the rest. It gets super boring after a while anyway. Now, Goatblood has hits and misses. Not maybe so good hits, but they do have weaker albums than this one. This is to some degree quite a decent one. But after a couple of spins, it really starts repeating itself way too much. So, I don't know, it seems like it's like lack of diversity when it comes to drumming and riffs. They're super simple, like maybe, 3 different kind of, and you get the idea. It gets repeated ad nauseam. So, I hope the band was focusing more on the riffs, more on the drumming, and then adding some power. I mean, decide whether you want to go death metal or black metal, but if you do both in a sloppy ways, you end up sounding like Goatblood. Sorry for that. And then we have an Italian band called Horrid, as we forget our past album. And this is as if the Italian band was trying to do Swedish kind of a death metal. Now that might sound a retro thing unless you figured out that this band has been out there since late 80s. Yes, this is really an old band, but they have had some lineup problems throughout the years, and maybe that's exactly the reason why this band never became big thing. I mean, they do Swedish kind of a death metal, very decent way. Now, they could be, you know, borrowing elements from bands like Entombed or Edge of Sanity, and having this kind of a strong HM2 kind of a sound is supporting the music they're doing. The unfortunate thing is, they're not exactly doing very good songs. Everything is easy to listen to, everything is like kind of a pretty decent. But you kind of figure out by the end of the album that there's nothing really super memorable with this. It's more like a copycat bands of Entombed or Edge of Sanity or whatever Swedish band you want to pick for. And then it's like, yeah, I kind of get it why these guys are doing, but how about some really good riffs and songs? Easy to get into, easy to forget. And then we go to Germany with a band called Immorior. This is MCD, Ciel Noir. It's a pretty basic digi pack release. And if I remember correctly, this is only 2 guys. This is the kind of a side adventure of black metal guys doing a little bit of post-black. Definitely kind of a melancholic, definitely kind of easier than most of the black metal bands, but that also means that this is not exactly a, how to say, very extreme release. It's most like post-black metal with kind of a nice addition of melancholy and melodies and all that stuff, or a little bit of weeping music when your girlfriend has just left you. If you need that, this is a decent choice, but if you want something else from your music, maybe you can just pretty much skip Immorior. Not bad, but not very good either. And to complement the whole deal here, with some of the same guys as Immorior, there is a band called Stardust, also from Germany, and this is a Fragmente eines, gebrochenen Lebens. Sounds very, very violent, especially when I'm doing that. Oh, just kidding. This is melodic black metal with melancholic ways. Some would call this depressive black metal stuff, but I don't know. This isn't exactly depressive suicidal black metal, even though it totally wants to hint about that direction. And like I said, this has some similar members that Immorior, so I don't know which one is the main band or which is the main project, but I don't know if there's actually people who care about that. This is, in a way, more mature one and more interesting one than Immorior one, but also more like traditional melodic black metal, fast tempo and all that stuff. Decent sounding. Vocals could be actually a lot better, but they do their job just okay. Now the downside is, this album feels way too lengthy. And that is partially for 2 reasons. First of all, this is almost 60 minutes, which is just too much of this style when you don't really have a killer material. I'm talking about material like The Mysteries to Sathanas by Mayhem and all that stuff. The other reason is, well, the songs are not that good. They're very listenable, but also quite easy to forget once again. And this seems to be the kind of a basic thing to happen with these kind of albums. I mean, you have all the basic elements. Melodies, check. You know, fast tempo, check. You have good production, check. What about good songs? Well, we didn't have time to do them. We just wanted to do some melancholy and add melodies and fast tempo and get away with it. Yeah, sure. And that's about it. So once again, easy to listen to, but I don't know. I cannot get really hyped about this kind of stuff because there are hundreds and hundreds of albums that have done exactly the same, and most of them are actually better, or at least not weaker ones. So this pile has been quite a challenging because there is not a single album which I would go really like, hey, this is the thing. If I had to be the winners of this pile, I guess it still would be Stardust and Horrid, because none of these are exactly one of my favorites. They are not, simply said, that good. They are decent at best and mostly kind of a lukewarm experiences. So hate me if you have to, but you can check out the links provided for the music and decide for yourself if these are actually good or not. So, that it is. Check out the links, and should you have questions or comments, drop them in the comments box below. Looking forward to your feedback. Thank you, and laters.